I am your host, Alexandria Butler, candidate for District 9, running in the beautiful Congressional District 9 in the beautiful city of Houston, great state of Texas. I'm here joined with my beautiful co-host, Carmen Montiel, running in District 18. I love this gal. She's beautiful. She's wonderful. Her race, we've got, 57 days, girl?
57 days. As of today, tomorrow will be 56 days to election. Please remember to go to vote. Remember to register to vote.
October 6th.
Regístrense para votar. The deadline is October 6th.
Excellent.
6 de octubre para registrarse para votar, and early voting starts on October 20th.
Excellent.
So it's just around the corner.
And if you didn't catch that, she said the last day to register to vote is October 6th. I think early voting, what was it, October 4th?
October 20th the start. And election is November 4th.
Okay, and the election is November 4th. Wow, 56 days is nothing.
Nothing. We're right there. It's a special election, and it's a jungle race.
Talk about your race a little bit. Let the people know what's been going on, because we weren't here last weekend. Last weekend we had a really bad storm, a lot of rain, some flooding occurred. People lost their vehicles. I actually saw several vehicles just bobbing in the water. I turned around because I'm originally from Kansas, where we believe in turn around, don't drown. Because flash flooding happens, right?
And that's what I say. Houston, we have a problem. See? That's one of the things that I say when I say Houston, we have a problem. Every time a drop of water drops in the city, it floods.
It floods.
And the money have been given to solve that issue, the infrastructure issue in the city. And where is the money?
Did you hear recently what, and I know we didn't really talk about this, but Lena Hidalgo, basically after that flooding occurred, said that, if we don't raise the taxes to get $200 million more to address the flooding, isn't this what they were supposed to be doing in the first place?
Well, plus we got billions of dollars of federal money that the question is, where is it? Okay,
Right.
and they didn't use it for the purpose because, floating is something that we should get federal money.
Right.
It's not like a local issue.
It's not.
And we got the money, but
what did they do with
somebody pockets. We wonder what pockets.
I think that we prioritized transgender softball.
Oh, yes.
Priorities. You got to have priorities.
And the budget, they don't have money in the budget, but they were able to pass almost $500,000
Yes.
for LGBT, softball competition. And you go like, really? We're broke.
And they're trying to raise taxes for more money, saying that $200 million now is the number to address the flooding. I don't think so. I think that's absolutely ridiculous.
What they're doing is driving people away from the cities.
Absolutely.
Like we're seeing, this city sadly is going to become a ghost city. And then who's going to pay for all of this?
The people that own things here.
And that's what we tell people, please, when you go to vote, remember to vote Republican, because we are the only people that get things done.
Absolutely.
And so far, the city belongs to the Democrats.
Local elections matter,
The most.
Right.
Is the first thing that affects you. And, when you go to vote, make sure, because people tend to say, I'm only going to vote on presidential election. No, your local elections are the most important.
Right. That affects you every day.
Every day. And to raise your property taxes and all of that. So make sure you vote. Let's fleet this city red, because we are drowning. In reality, really drowning in this city.
Well, and let's change our order up a little bit. I like what you just said. You said we need to flip this city red. We talked a little bit earlier about the need for cleanup in blue cities. And there's a little bit of confusion that I'm seeing kind of being put into the airwaves about blue cities, blue states, red cities. Now, are there really like I think you and I are pretty knowledgeable about this. Are there actually any red urban cities that are large?
I don't think so.
No.
Because, for example, Miami.
Yes.
The mayor of Miami is a Republican.
Yes.
But because they don't call it county judge.
Right.
They call it county mayor.
Right.
So the county mayor is Democrat. And actually, it was a Republican until 2020. Mm-hmm. So, the county affects the city.
It does.
So I don't think there is a real true, completely red city.
No.
And that's something that people need to look about it. Why?
Right.
Why is it that the cities went blue? Why?
And they have the largest population of people, right? So you're dealing with like, I'm going to use my old state, for example, Kansas. I'm originally from Kansas. And there is a lot of rural area in Kansas. But then there are a few cities like Kansas City. You've got Topeka, which is the state's capital. And then you've got a large city like Wichita, where there are a lot of people in these cities. Each of these states are run by Democrats.
Oh.
Or excuse me, each of these cities is run by Democrats.
Well,
Yeah.
like here in Texas.
Right.
Let's see. Houston
Right.
is blue. San
Blue.
Antonio
Blue.
is blue. Austin is blue.
Extremely
Dallas
blue.
is blue. And then you thought that the blue was going to stay in Houston.
Right.
But they have spread to
They have.
Fort Bend.
Yes, they have.
And it was, it's not only they have
Look at
spread
their
to
school
Fort Bend.
boards now going on in Fort Bend. They're dealing with the most liberal school districts there now because, I mean, it is just absolutely crazy. I don't think people see the policies of the left are encroaching on all of us, and the people think because they are taught to believe that Democrats have our best humanistic interest in mind and that they're the ones that are going to provide the programs
world.
and they're saviors. They are
Yeah.
the charity people and Republicans are greedy. And, this is the
And we have
mindset.
to obey by the rules because otherwise we are what? Racist.
We're racist.
Everything is with the racist word, and I'm just tired of it. I was this last Saturday in a forum for my for my race, and they were just so worried about, well, the district now is like this. My district now is 45% Latino, mostly
Right.
Latino than Black, and then
Right.
it's gonna change. And it was a question for all of us. When it got to me, I said, why do we care?
Right.
How the district is gonna be?
Right.
If you have a good representative,
That's right.
it doesn't matter how they draw that district.
Right. It does not matter.
That's it.
Like, just because, like, for instance, my district, District 9, when I started in my race, my opponent, Al Green, I'm dealing with majority Hispanic and African American in this district, right? And then basically white and everybody else is other. And so I was ready to enter the race no matter what, because just because I'm Black doesn't mean that I'm the only I'm only able to represent Black
Exactly.
people. I happen to be a Black conservative woman, which is extremely rare.
Yes.
Okay. And so are Hispanic conservative women. It's usually with our cultures, and it's the men that typically kind of are pulled over into conservatism, whereas women typically just aren't active in that realm, or they're extremely liberal, regarding my body, my choice, and things of that nature.
Yeah, well, it's not. When you talk about my body, that
Right.
thing inside of you is not your body.
It's not.
By the way,
It's not at all.
It's not your body.
Right.
But let me tell you, I think one of the biggest insults I have gotten in my life is when people ask me, how can you, as a woman and Latina, be a Republican?
I get that same question, girl.
And I'm like, isn't that racist and misogynist?
It's the racism of low expectations.
And misogynism.
You have
It's
to
like
be
treating
smart.
you're a woman, you're an
Right,
idiot.
right.
You
You're
know
an
how
idiot.
exactly.
You're lesser. They're what they're doing is it's that where they try to take you down a couple pegs. That when you're okay. And I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna say this directly in the camera. When you're a triple threat, when you are beautiful, when you are intelligent, when you're capable, when you seem to have your stuff together, when you have
Yes.
this kind of put together, whatever, you're running for Congress, you're doing these things, immediately something occurs inside people where they want to humble you. They feel it's their duty.
It's their
It is
duty
their
to put
duty
you down.
to humble
Yeah.
you and bring, like, how dare you step up and do this thing? Right?
Exactly. You're not supposed to. So
No.
I have to be, if I get to that point, then I say, I'm just going to dye my hair blonde and be a dumb blonde.
That's what they want.
When they told me like that, I said, let me dye my hair blonde and just become a dumb blonde.
Right. Right. Let's end
it.
it right now. Because they don't what the problem is they have a hard time dealing with intelligent women in general.
In general.
Okay.
And that goes across the board.
And then they use our color, our culture, and anything that how we look they use that to try to keep us in a place where it's like, it's like that Democrat plantation, right?
Yeah, and they have to put you in little boxes.
They compartmentalize you.
Yes.
You're a woman.
And you're Latina, and you're
don't
black,
agree
and
with
you're-
abortion?
You know, exactly. And I'm like, no, I'm a mother of 3 children. And you have how many? You have what, 5?
I have 5 living, 1 passed away.
So how can, when we're mothers, we love life, we
Yes.
love our children,
Yes.
agree with that?
We can't.
And you know, I had a very, I'm you know, my children are doing fantastic. I'm a very loving mother, but I'm tough.
Very.
And I sat them down, all 3 of them. I have 2 girls, 1 boy, and I said, if any of you get pregnant or you get somebody pregnant,
Right.
I'm gonna be mad not
Right.
because somebody got pregnant, but because you're an idiot.
Right. Because your life is now going to change dramatically.
No, but it's an idiot. That's something you can control.
Right, it
You know,
is.
that was it's like, you know what? It's not supposed to happen if you take the precautions.
Come on now.
They're there. Use them.
That's where the
Okay?
choice is.
Exactly. That's a choice.
I
you
am
know.
pro-choice outside of the bed, right?
Exactly.
The choice is who I take to my bedroom. The choice is not to sleep with anybody. The choice is there's so many
Be
choices
responsible.
you
So
can
many
make.
choices to avoid it.
Right.
That so I told them, I said, because you're smart enough, I already have the talk with you. You know what to do. If anybody gets here pregnant, you get impregnate somebody, I'm going to be mad because you're an idiot, because you know better than that.
Because you were taught right.
Exactly.
But we believe in children. We do not believe in the right to murder the unborn, the most innocent, and should be in the most safest environment for a child is the womb of its
inside
mother
the
being
mother.
killed.
You know, and I'm going to tell you this because it happened to me. My last child, I was beyond, 34 years old.
They
and
call that high
after-
maternal
Yeah, so I
age.
have to have the amniocentesis.
Yes.
And I remember how, and you have the echo connected. And I remember how when they stick that needle, my son was pushing the feedback.
Oh,
He could feel that.
right.
He felt it.
Yes.
And at that point, I said, wow, imagine these poor babies
Right.
that are, taken out in pieces. When my son just that needle, you could see how he moved his feet.
Right.
And it's amazing. It's a baby. And,
Baby.
and I felt so bad. I said, my poor baby is feeling that needle. I
Right.
felt
And you
horrible.
can see it going in there during the
Yeah.
amniocentesis and everything.
No, so that I don't understand that.
Yeah, I
and
don't either.
And if anybody thinks that's not murder, I'm sorry.
They're barbaric.
Yeah.
They are absolutely barbaric, and they don't care about human life. And this is where that deception is, where everybody's thinking the left is so humanitarian. They're the saviors. They're so charitable. They want to help us,
Uh-huh.
but they
They're
kill.
also they kill babies,
Right.
And then they protect the criminals that are raping and beating up
Right.
and murdering people. Oh, they are humanitarians,
Right.
Doesn't the Bible say that our first thing to do is protect our lives and the
Right.
life of others?
Right.
So, and they are
Protect the
completely
innocent.
doing
The opposite.
The opposite.
Right.
So
That's how the devil works.
exactly, and they're convincing people that that's the right way.
I mean,
And
look at George Floyd, right? When
let's
Geo-
talk about that because I met his sister.
Oh.
Lives here. Have you met her?
No.
Oh, she's always around. Yeah.
Wow.
And it looks like George Floyd in a woman. It's amazing.
That's scary.
It's
A little bit.
shocking. Yeah, it's shocking. Yeah.
Now he pistol whips a pregnant woman. That's not why he was being accosted by the police. He was being accosted by the police because he's passing counterfeit bills at a check cashing place, and they saw that and they're like, "No, we're calling the police secretly on you right now."
Exactly.
But
But it
he
was not
was-
their first crime.
Right, it was not his first crime. He had a rap sheet the length of my arm. He was high on methamphetamines and fentanyl at that very moment. I do not believe that he was killed by the police. I believe it was excited delirium, and I will die on that hill. I
Yeah.
believe it was excited delirium. You have 2 different drugs counteracting and somebody holding you down. Your heart rate's going a mile a minute because you're on meth.
Exactly.
And then you're on fentanyl at the same time, which we all know what that does. It kills a lot of people. And so it was no surprise that this man died of a drug overdose while being held down by the police in
And
a
then he
normal
was-
in a normal hold. A knee to the
And
back
then he
of the
was
neck.
made a martyr.
And he is a martyr. Now,
I'm like,
we've got this Irina Zarutska.
exactly. She should be a martyr.
Now, that is a martyr. This woman flees war-torn Ukraine, tries to start a new life in North Carolina. She's not here running across the border. She's not here as a criminal. She is a true asylum seeker.
A true asylum seeker.
Like, how many times have we used public transportation or an Uber or something, and we're just in our phone, checking our
Minding
Facebook,
our own business.
Minding our business. This is what she's doing on a train on the blue line, stabbed to death on camera.
And I saw that video, and you cannot believe it, because this man, he gets in the train first,
Yes.
sits down,
Like,
and then she comes later,
Yes.
and she sits in front of him.
yes,
And then suddenly he just
loses it.
loses it, knife her, kill her, and everybody's there, and nobody
Does anything.
anything.
Nothing.
Well, apparently they said that what happened, since he was sitting behind, nobody saw anything. They realized it when they saw him walking, and he was dripping blood.
Ooh.
And here nobody's talking about it. Nobody's talking about this story. And because you know what? Because this whole idea of justice for all that the
Right.
Democrats are pushing
With liberty and justice
for all means that the criminals also deserve justice. And I said, if you are killing or you killed somebody, how is it that your life is more important than the person that just loved their life?
Right.
Or about their families, they're never going to
Exactly.
get to see that person.
There's no justice
Or a
for
poor
them.
girl that came looking for asylum because her country is under war.
Right.
And she's working, she's
Right.
doing everything that is right.
And
she
you know
gets
she's
killed.
working hard.
And she's working hard. But this is, and the Democrats are up in arms because President Trump is trying, is controlling crime.
Right.
And it's like, isn't that what our president and our politicians are supposed to do, control crime?
That's
Isn't
what I
it the
thought.
most important thing when you run for office
Right.
is to protect
Law and order.
law
Protect
and order, to
the
protect
citizens
the
of this
citizen?
nation.
Oh, no. How dare you?
And see, this is what we were just talking about regarding the left. They support the criminal over the victim. What on earth? Who does that?
Well, like we just said, George Floyd became famous. How about the victims?
They pushed this support. The left did. Nancy Pelosi, they come into the Capitol with their kente cloths on and this
went on their
moment of
knees.
silence and all of this junk for a man who pistol whipped a woman. What about the pregnant woman he pistol whipped? Where's her justice? What about the unborn baby? See,
Exactly.
because the left doesn't care about unborn babies. To them, that's a parasite. That's nothing more than a parasite. They don't see that as a human.
Well,
even
remember, they have their convention with abortion clinics right outside.
though, right? They had an abortion bus. I didn't know you
It's
could
like-
do bus abortions.
I'm like, how is this America? How these people say they're a party and they have on their own convention abortion buses outside,
That was
providing
disgusting.
free abortion.
That was
And
disgusting.
if you don't call that murder, and I believe that is a point where the police should come and arrest everybody who was
Everybody.
performing those abortions. I don't see
They
any
are
other
serial
way.
killers.
They're serial killers.
They are hired hitmen. That's
Yeah.
what they are, and they should be arrested. I think once we finally get rid of this barbaric assault on unborn children, this genocide that is in our country, while we try to act like we are this great, and this nation that has developed. You cannot call yourself
Well-
a developed nation, and you're still committing these acts of infanticide
people.
and genocide.
Completely.
How
It's,
dare we? And speaking of murder, Washington D.C. hasn't had a murder in 13 days.
Isn't that fantastic?
Thank
isn't
you,
that, like,
thank
incredible?
you, Donald Trump. Thank you,
We
President
have
Trump.
to thank our president, because if the city couldn't do something about it or nothing about it, so he did it.
He did it.
And then he proved them wrong.
Yes.
That they were obviously not doing their job.
This whole time.
They were not doing their job this whole time, and he was able to control it
Just like that.
in a
Just
flip
like
of
that.
a finger, just like that.
I watched a video. This guy was talking about how he can now wear his jewelry walking down the street. Big old black guy. He's real buff, a lot of muscles peeking through his t-shirt. He's just like, he had tears coming out of his eyes. And then I'm watching these different videos of people just like, I can walk my dog. I don't feel afraid to walk down the street. I can go jogging this morning. These are simple things that we take for granted. They could not do these things
They
for
could not
fear
do
of
it.
their lives because it was so much civil unrest there.
Well, and that's when I said that one of the reasons what I'm doing is
Yes.
because everything that's happening already happened in Venezuela. You know, in Venezuela, it got to the point that we couldn't wear our jewelry, we couldn't walk outside. We have to build walls in front of our houses. And I told somebody today, I said, haven't you realized the proliferation of gated communities is because we're not safe?
Because we're not safe.
And what happened? We're there. We're there. And if you don't realize, and that's what I say, I see all this manual repeating itself. Like I
Yes.
say, I'm living this nightmare
Right.
for the second time in my life.
Yes.
And I don't like it. And that's why I decided to run for office, because I want a future for my children, for your children, for our grandchildren.
Yes.
And that's what happened. But you know what? Let's remember, probably you remember, when I moved to Houston, 1991,
Yes.
Houston was one of the most dangerous city in the
Yes.
United States.
Yes.
And you remember, I don't know if you remember, they used to call the stop and go, stop and rob.
Right.
And I remember at the time I have to put my watch in a safety box because it
Yes.
was, again, just
Right.
stealing certain watches.
Right.
And but then Mayor Lanier became mayor, and her first thing was to control crime.
Yes.
And he added policemen, he improved their salary, and he
Yes.
did it. And he proved that it could be done.
It could be done.
And we are having the same problem
The
again
exact
in
same
Houston.
issue.
And we just need the right people sitting in government. And that's what we say, local elections matter.
They matter.
So we elect against somebody that will control our crime.
You know, it's very important that we understand and we elect people who are pure-hearted. You know, we oftentimes, I think people are like, oh, they raised thousands of dollars. They raised millions of dollars. They've done this, or they come with these flashy, you know, big money, big spenders, establishment, career politicians. But pure-hearted people like us, we have a little bit of a harder time gaining that kind of fame, notoriety, money, because
Especially
we
the money,
actually
yeah.
believe that we can make a change, an effective change in this city.
And that's when you realize there is also people within our party that don't want that
They
change
don't
to happen.
want it, because then they'll be out of a job. I think they won't be able to, because they don't really have the heart. Okay.
Well, you know, there is many Republicans donated to the Democrats in
Absolutely.
my race. In my race. That's happening.
Absolutely.
And you know what? You can go check all the Democrat candidates in the FEC and you will see who. It's because that's public.
And a lot of people don't understand that this is the game of politics that people play. You know, just because somebody has an R by their name, just because somebody is a Republican, does not mean that they're necessarily the best Republican for this job.
Nope.
Right. And just because a person has a Democrat, like, that doesn't mean that they care about you at all. You know, if they don't care enough about, you know, ending the plagues of the Democrat Party, like abortion being one, that's a heavy stain. I don't think they'll
And you
ever be
know-
able to wash that one off.
Well, and there is so many people that were from the Democratic Party and, you know, the liberals and the left that joined the Republican Party that they're known as the neocons.
Right. Right.
And that's a reality.
Right.
And they just are not conservative. They call themselves conservatives. They say they were tired
Yeah.
of what their party was doing and the liberals. And they come here and they're in reality, they're not Republicans.
Right.
And sadly, there are,
Rhinos.
they have the money power.
Yeah. They have the money power. And see, that's where people, I think, are blinded, is that when they see that money backing them, they think that,
This is the right person.
this is it. This
And
is
actually
God's
should-
will. This
should
is
scare you to death.
It should.
You know, it should
It
scare you
really
to death.
should. It
Yes.
really should. I mean, and it's even anti-biblical. You know, we pride ourselves being on the right. You know, I've been to all of these different Republican groups. We pray. You know, we talk about Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Openly. Okay. And, you know, we don't need to separate church and state, you know, regarding
Oh.
that. That doesn't even.
Well, this country was founded
it
under
was
the principle.
founded on Christian principles.
Well, did I tell you what they put in my Instagram?
Tell me.
So I'm a Catholic. I'm a proud Catholic. You know, we're Christians. I
Amen.
always wear my cross.
Amen.
And I don't hide my religion. I'm a Catholic. I'm very proud. And I posted yesterday, the first millennial was canonized.
Beautiful.
This kid died when he was 15 years old from leukemia back in 2006. His mother was present in the canonization. And I put it as a Christian. I wear my religion with pride. I'm
Same.
not ashamed of it. And I raise my children
Same.
under their religion. So I put, you know, and I said, wow, this, you know, the first millennial saint, he did many miracles before he died and after his mother. And then somebody commented, because this was in my political page,
Right.
separation of church and state. This is not okay. You need to keep your religion's belief out of politics.
But you're not forcing anybody to become a Catholic. You're not fighting for state-run Catholic
Well,
churches.
this is religion freedom, by the way.
Right, that's religious
Don't-
freedom.
This is religion freedom.
Right.
It doesn't mean that I'm running for office. It
Right.
means that I have to renounce my religion.
No, that's not even appropriate. Look, today Trump defended your right to speak about things like this. He was at the Museum of the Bible defending our religious liberty. We
course.
have a right to worship as we freely choose. However we want to exercise our worship towards our Creator, we have that right in this
And
country.
he did this, and this was written yesterday. This person put that in my Instagram, and I was like, you
They
know what?
don't know what separation of church and
But
state means.
that no, they really don't.
They can't.
And they don't understand that, yeah, it's the separation of church, but then we have also a freedom of speech and religion.
Right?
It's freedom of speech and
Right.
religion.
Right.
So it's not that we're forcing anybody to pray. If you want to pray, you pray. If you don't
you
want to
don't,
pray,
you don't.
well, don't pray. But that's what religion's freedom means. But this country was founded in the name of God.
Right.
And I always say, you go into Congress and said, in God we trust.
In God
and
we
then
trust.
we see it our bills,
Not our money. Mm-hmm.
our dollar bill said, in God we trust. And these people is pushing so hard to get away from that I say the day they remove that word from the bills,
Yes.
and they remove that word from Congress, we're going to be in big trouble.
I
because
think
they
we're
being
heading there
advanced.
now.
Yeah.
Because
That's
I'm
the plan.
seeing even some of these, like, I'm seeing it starting in the local elections where they don't want God mentioned in the schools. They want the schools to be agnostic, right?
Yeah.
And I don't agree with that.
No.
I think it's very important that the students know that our country was founded on Christian principles. The minute we start getting away from that and veering away from that,
Then we
are
saw the
going
problems.
to see Satan take over our country, and we are going to see so many people
Well, and we're
perish.
seeing it already.
Right.
When they took, God out of the schools and out of the judiciary, that's
Right.
when we're facing the problems we're facing. Kids
Right.
needs to be raised believing in something.
Yes. 'Cause
Okay?
if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for everything.
Exactly. And that's why I said is your community is not only your mom, your dad, your siblings,
Your
your whole
church.
community, your church. And believing is that I always said my favorite word in Spanish is called temor de Dios. There is not a perfect translation in English because and we were raised like we have to have temor de Dios. And I taught my children to have temor de Dios because it's not fear.
Yes.
It's like fear with respect.
Yes.
And there is not the perfect word to translate
Like a
it.
reverence.
Exactly, with the reverence, but you are like, okay, God is watching.
Right.
There are certain things I cannot
There's an
do.
awareness and an understanding that
Exactly.
God is always present, and it upholds biblical truths like he will never leave us or forsake us. Now, I know that not everybody in this country is a Christian, but it is good to understand that this country was founded on Christian principles.
And we need to
it's
respect
to say
everybody.
that and respect that. Now, Christians don't need to shut up and stop talking about their stuff because somebody gets convicted, right? Like, that's what I think is going on, because when people feel bad or whatever, that maybe they're not acknowledging God like they should, then they want to hit you with separation of church and state or tell you to shut up. But I notice other religions don't get told that. They are free to build whatever shrines they want. They are free, and that is part of their religious liberty
Well,
in this country.
in
Nobody
this
is
country,
stopping
and
that.
that's why we have the
But it's-
Islamic
it's-
invasion we're facing, which is another one of the problems we're facing in this nation.
It's actually Christians that are under attack still. They're
Exactly.
trying to shut us down. It's interesting, and I know we didn't really talk about this, but the person that got prayer removed from the schools, her name was Madeline Murray O'Hare. Okay, she single-handedly, one woman, took down prayer in the 60s.
In the
she started
60s,
in
yeah.
the 60s, and then
She didn't want her children to pray, and I said, well,
because she was an atheist.
she wasn't. Well, perfect.
That's her religious freedom for her
exactly.
family.
So if her children were not forced to
Right.
pray, the other kids wanted to pray.
Right.
And that's the problem. And that's the problem when I said democracy is the mud rule.
Right.
And we're not a democracy.
We're not.
I said
We're a
Americans
republic.
need to be clear that we're a constitutional
Yes.
republic. And that's when you see that a one woman,
Yes.
forced the majority
Yes.
to do something.
Yes.
And that's not right.
And you know what's interesting about her story, just a little bit. She was an atheist. She had one of the largest atheist nonprofit organizations in America, and one of her children was a born again Christian, and
Wow.
she wrote him out of the will. Didn't want anything to do with him because he wanted that God that that she didn't want.
Imagine that you how can you
Disown
do
your
that to
own
your
child.
child.
And after she did that, her body parts were found in different places. She was murdered by the head of her own organization.
Well, see that part I didn't know.
Yes,
Good to learn.
I'm just saying, you don't want to buck up against God. You don't want to
No.
go against the Creator.
No,
You
and
just
when
don't.
you get involved in that type of organizations, people need to understand that that's evil.
Oh, it is.
It's like joining the mafia.
Right. You might as well.
So you know that you cannot trust anybody. Somebody might stab you in the back and cut you into pieces at any given moment. That's
Right.
moment. That's what the
I
mafia
mean,
does.
what's their stance for rules and laws? If you're saying that you have no God, right? You have nothing. You don't believe in
There's
anything.
no respect.
So where is your standard for morality? This is why we want the 10 Commandments, because that is a basic standard. Thou shalt not kill.
Oh, that's the basic.
That is still a rule today. That
And
all
that's
of our
what temor de
laws.
Dios, that's what temor de Dios means, is you have to obey the 10 Commandments. You
Right.
have to obey the rule of God.
Right.
And those are basic principles of life.
Absolutely basic.
And like one of the principles also to defend your life.
Yes.
And defend the life of others.
Yes.
Not to go kill somebody.
No, not murdering in cold blood, which is what we're seeing now. People just murdering. They can't get enough of it. There's a bloodlust that is happening in people, and then they're not just murdering others; they're murdering themselves. Suicide's gone up. Things have gone up.
Well, they're using drugs.
Right.
It's just it's really, like I tell people, we're facing a battle between good and evil.
It's serious.
Yes.
It's very
It's the
serious.
reality of what we're facing.
And that's why that brings me back to pure-hearted individuals such as ourselves that are candidates. She's running in District 18. I'm going to say it again, 56 days. I know today's technically 57, but today's over. 56 days
56
until
days.
you vote for Carmen Montiel. Remember that name.
And make a difference.
Remember.
Yeah.
And so with people that are pure-hearted, that truly are not on the side of evil, that are truly on
no.
the side
Evil
of
comes
right,
to attack
we
you.
are being opposed. They are attempting to sabotage our campaigns. They are attempting to sabotage us. They do these things because they want the money, they want the power, they want the prestige, they want the position and the title.
And they don't want somebody that is really going to do the work. So we prove and show
Right.
then
Wrong.
how terrible
They've been wasting
job
time.
they've been doing. That
They've been wasting time
exactly.
and money. And I'm telling you, when you get in and I get in, we're gonna show everybody
How it's
It's
done.
like when you hire a new person. Like
Yeah.
you hire a new person, like let's say fast food, and they work their butts off. That person shows to the bosses that everybody's been slacking. That's why the store's not clean. That's why the food's not done right. That's why the drive-through time is not fast, because they have been slacking. And so when you get people like us in those types of seats, and we're about business and we are doing what we promised
To do.
it makes them look like they have been wasting God's time and wasting the taxpayers' time, and they have been.
No, they have been, but what happened is the majority don't want that. Even some Republicans
It's
don't want that
exposure.
to happen because everybody will be exposed.
Everybody from the swamp will be drained quickly.
Yes.
Now, what do you think? We got a little bit more time left, but what do you think about what's going on in Florida? It appears that the Surgeon General plans to end the vaccine schedule.
I totally agree. I think that vaccination should be a choice.
I agree.
Okay, because I remember I believe when I was little, I think if I have 4 or 5 vaccinations
Yes.
at the time was at the most.
Yes.
And then I remember my children are 29, 26, 20. And I remember that each child was getting more and more. And every time, even my oldest, because there was a new vaccine,
Yes.
now we need to add this.
Right. Here's a booster. Here's this.
And now with the knowledge we have, I just thank God every day of my life
Yes.
that my kids are healthy.
Oh, yes.
That none of that poison that is coming in many of the vaccines
Ooh,
ever
girl.
affected them.
My
Because
God.
they know, like they know the vaccines that have the propensity to give autism and all
Yes.
this disease. And he's right. We have, our generation is going to live longer.
Yes.
But the next generation is not.
No,
No,
They're not.
and look, they're dying very young.
they're very weak too.
Yes.
They're not very hardy. And something about vaccines. I'm very much against vaccinations. My children are not vaccinated, and especially because of the research that I've done about vaccines regarding the harvesting of aborted children, regarding the editing of our DNA, utilizing viruses that they claim are inactive, but they're actually active viruses. That's the best way to insert whatever they want into your DNA to change who you are, to change your makeup.
But because they make you, the whole idea of pharma
Yes.
is to make you sick so you
Yes.
become
Dependent.
dependable,
Right.
a dependent of whatever they're
Yes.
selling. And that's why I recently have a small procedure and somebody, and they call me and say, well, what do you take? Nothing. And
Right.
you take no medication? No. But do you take vitamins? No. And they were in shock that at my age, I don't even take vitamins. I said, you know how I would take my vitamins? I eat them.
Right. I eat food.
I eat
good
I
food.
eat healthy. I eat good food. Because, one day I realized I was taking vitamin. I realized the bottle was made in China. I was like, why am I putting this
What
in
is
my
this?
body?
You don't even know what's in it.
Exactly. And then I said, you know what? You eat right. You exercise. You drink lots of water.
Yes.
You live a healthy lifestyle.
Yes.
You don't need any of that.
No.
But the big pharma wants to make you dependent of them.
Dependent.
It's like mammogram is
Yes.
another thing. Radiation gives cancer. We
Yes.
all know that.
Yes.
Okay, why they sent you to have a mammogram? That is completely putting a bunch of radiation in your breast.
Right.
And then suddenly, now we have a major problem
I was
with
gonna
breast
say,
cancer.
you're going to have an issue after that, a serious issue.
And they start doing, because I remember, you have to have the baselines at 35 and then at 40, you have to do it every year. And then, what happened? If they see anything, they send you to have an ultrasound.
Right.
So obviously the ultrasound is better.
Why didn't they just do the ultrasound in the first place?
But they send you to do the exam that's going to give you cancer.
Right. Right.
So it's
purposely done. And I think biopsies are the same way, because when you're getting cells out of something that you're thinking might be a cancer, right? And so you're taking these cells, who's to say that you're not rupturing something and allowing these cells to enter into your bloodstream, and now it's spreading, whereas at one time it was contained, now it's metastasized. You got cancer in all different parts of your bodies now and in your body now. So I like what RFK is doing right now.
I do
He's
too.
coming again. Like, the time has changed, because we were before, so many people okay with being dependent on big pharma. All you see are commercials. They're like they're like the biggest sponsors on TV. These commercials: erectile dysfunction, blood clots, psoriasis.
You
all
have
these
to
things.
take something.
You got to
and-
take something, and then
Yeah.
they're talking about the side effects may cause death and cancer, and it's just like they're saying it at the bottom. Then you got to take medicines for those side effects,
Yeah,
And
so
it's like a never-ending cycle.
Never-ending cycle.
And so RFK now, he's got it may seem to the left that they are warring against RFK because they're calling for his resignation. They're calling for this.
Well,
But
why
really,
didn't call for the resignation of that guy who thought he was a woman? And he was the Secretary of Health. Okay, now let's seriously. I think a guy that is how old? He's 70. What? He's
Right.
70 something.
Right.
He's over 70. The guy exercised like a monster.
Right.
The guy is in great shape.
Right.
Okay. And they want to get rid of him, to unseat him. And the Democrat had for
Yes.
that same position
Yes.
a guy that thought he was a woman. And the guy that was in charge of the atomic bomb, also thought he was a woman. It was stealing luggages in the airports. And I'm like, at what point? These
he was appearing in other people's clothing. A woman that designed the
but
clothing.
I always say, at what point the Democrats don't realize that this is insanity?
They can't see themselves. I mean, because how can you support such hatred and vitriol like they do on TV, encourage through your sorcery on the media millions of Americans who are ignorant, they're ignorant and low information voters. You're encouraging them to hate the president, right?
Yeah.
And you're okay with stealing. You're okay with lying about your gender. You're okay with, all of these things.
Oh, but trust
That's
the
okay.
signs.
But Trump is a liar.
Trump is you should
this.
trust the sign. And if I trust the signs, it will trust the signs. There is only X and XX
Right,
and XY. That's it. That's trusting the signs.
Right. If we trust the science, then we're gonna look at biology.
Exactly. And there is no way around that.
And even as a Christian, right? I don't judge people for what they do in their life, right? But when you try to tell me that 2 + 2 is not 4, right? When you try to tell me that 1 and 1 does not equal 2, and you're saying trust the math,
Yes.
I'm gonna trust the math. Okay, because if the math ain't mathin', then I can't accept what you're saying. So it was when they decided that they were going to force us to accept this ideology, when they began to force us to say, no, it may have all of this facial hair. It may actually be a man and have a privy member, but this is a woman, and you better teach your children that. That's where the problem came in.
But don't you see this as a way to erase women?
Absolutely.
It is really an attack on women.
And women, I think, are starting to wake up. Like some of the most feminist women, like that were just entrenched in feminism, they're starting to wake up to the fact that now you've got women that claim to be feminists fighting for men to be in their sacred spaces.
That was the worst thing. I said the feminists. I was like, okay, you always got it wrong, women. The feminists. That they should have been up in arms fighting for us women.
Hello.
How they ever accepted that the woman of the year was a man that thinks he's a woman. And what happened is, if they think this is okay with, like, the young generation. I have,
right.
like I told you, my kids are 29, 26,
right.
20. And my girl specialists, they told me that. They were like, Mom, they want to delete us from the face of the earth.
That's exactly what they want to do.
And it's like, they used to be, somebody was even telling me something, their bar, like discotheques and bars, it said, it's not a thing anymore.
Right.
Because before it used to be like the ladies were allowed first,
right.
because that was the
ladies' night.
Ladies' night.
Right.
So the guys went to see the girls. Oh, now everybody has to stand in line.
Everybody has to stand in line.
Exactly. So what's the fun of that?
Right. It's not.
So, and it's not because, I'm a woman. I like
right.
to be a woman.
Yes.
I like to be girly.
We are
There's
feminine
nothing wrong.
ladies.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing at all. We believe in harmonizing with men, and we believe in all of that. But at the same time, we are ladies. We are not men.
We're not men. I want to be treated like a lady.
I want to be treated like a lady as well.
Exactly.
I don't want to be treated like a man, and I don't really, honestly, I know a lot of men under the age of 40 feel forgotten. They don't get much attention. And so sometimes I think that starts a mindset in some of these individuals that want attention. They crave this attention that they're not getting in regular life as a man, right?
Yeah.
And so they realize that when they change into this other thing, right, this alter ego, if you will, that they suddenly get this attention they've been craving. And from a certain community, they're receiving this validation they've never gotten, because suicide rates in men under 40 are extremely high.
Are high.
A lot of them feel lost and forgotten, and they don't feel
those people who
important
goes
or
through
loved.
that change of
Yes.
supposed sex that you cannot change.
Yes.
Their suicide rate is very high.
Theirs is even worse.
Very,
yes.
very high.
I mean, but living a lie is a hard thing to do.
Oh, yeah. And
You
there's
know?
many people that they don't have to change their sex to live a lie.
Right.
That's already hard enough. Imagine if you change your sex. The sad thing is many people, because, like you say, I don't judge anybody. You can do it in your house, whatever. And I have
Right.
many dear friends.
Right.
But many of my dear friends that are LGBT, they said that this movement actually has
It's hurt the LGBT
the
movement.
LGBT movement,
Yes.
because now everybody sees them as this negative thing.
Right.
When, they advanced, they got so far, they got some advances, and they
Right.
were more accepted. But now they even said, this is terrible for us.
It is terrible. It absolutely is terrible because, first of all, when the kids started being included, I think a lot of people that were in that community, and I know some personally as well that were very upset because they said, when you start putting these books in the library, that is not for the
That's not
school
right.
to explain to the students. It's actually, for the parents to explain to their students.
And we need to protect kids,
Their
children's innocence.
Yes.
I think that's
It's
the most
almost
important thing.
lost. Like that's, the
Yeah.
social media thing. It's almost like their innocence is being taken from
Well,
them.
one
through
thing
that.
I want to do in Congress.
What?
I'm a journalist.
Yes,
I'm a
yes.
real estate broker.
Yes.
But and I study here, and I study, all the communication law
Yes.
and all the rules of the FCC.
Yes.
And for years, I've been asking, what happened with the laws of FCC?
Right.
Every television station, channel, network, cable have completely violated,
Yes.
no one, but many laws
Yes.
of FCC. Exposing kids through television, talking about this.
Nudity, sexual topics, cursing. everything.
That's against FCC rules.
Yes.
I remember when my girls were teenagers, and there is a gap between my girls and my son, like they're 29, 26, and 20.
Yes.
I sat down to watch television with them,
Uh-oh.
because I want to see what
wanna
they were
know what
watching.
they're watching.
And so I sat down with them when they are watching television, and they were watching the Disney Channel. And they're teenagers, and suddenly
Yeah.
two girls were kissing each other.
Yep.
And I said, okay, that's it.
That's enough.
I'm canceling the Disney Channel
Right.
now. And my son can tell you he grew up without Disney Channel. And he said that, and I was like, this is a kid's channel.
Yeah.
How dare, in the middle of the afternoon, all of the other network stations have broken FCC rules, but this is a special. And now it went as far as Nickelodeon, all of them, when they start putting all the transgender and promoting all of that.
Yes,
And it's
yes.
like, well, I want to start putting fines in Congress to absolutely every one that have broken.
And not just Republicans. Like they're just watching conservatives to make sure we don't violate. You know. It seems to be okay.
Sadly, mainstream media,
Yeah.
they're all liberals.
It's all liberal. All of
Yeah.
it owned by, I think the same 6 people own basically every channel, every bit of the media.
Oh, it's
There's-
conglomerates.
It's
like
yeah,
4 or 5 conglomerates
a monopoly.
on all the media around the world.
Sheesh. Oh,
That's
my
why
goodness.
when you flip channels and they're saying the same thing over, and it's like you're listening the same. You flip channels and they're saying the same thing. It's
You
just
absolutely
amazing.
are. So we do have some good news for Donald Trump today.
Oh yes, finally good news.
Okay, let's see. It looks like the Supreme Court upheld the ICE raids in California, which I would call that a win.
That's a win.
You know, they
because-
oftentimes use these court systems to try to hinder and stop him instead of allowing him to clean up our country.
You know what? I wonder, is that even legal? Can a judge stop the president that was elected by the
been
whole
wondering that
country? By the whole country, but a small judge
Ninth
that was
district.
elected in some
Ninth
little
circuit.
district was appointed by somebody when somebody was elected by the majority of the people in the United States, and can a
Right.
judge just stop? So I'm glad that happened. Because it's one of the things, and I always tell you, like I'm seeing this nightmare repeating in my life. It's the same thing that happened in Venezuela. Is illegal immigration is terrible for a country,
Yes.
and we're not saying we don't want. I'm a legal immigrant.
Right.
We need people.
Right.
That's a reality.
Right.
We need engineers. We don't
Right.
graduate enough engineers.
That's right.
And we need people, but they need to come here legally.
Legally.
And I said, yes, we need to do better.
Yes.
And expedite the
Yes.
legal process
Yes.
because it takes forever.
It does.
Puts people to go through many sacrifices.
It does.
It gets very expensive and it's
It
very
should be
difficult.
more clear cut.
Yes.
And I actually stand on that. That's one of my planks in my platform is about, a pathway to citizenship. Make sure that making sure that the legal system is a lot more clear, making sure that the portals of actual entry are very much so determined and clearly stated.
Oh, it took me
Make the
14 years to
process-
become a citizen.
See, I think that's absolutely
14
ridiculous.
Years.
I think that's ridiculous.
And
I
so
think
many
that's a
people that
long
are
time.
professionals that want to come here is basically impossible. And
Yes.
the other thing that the Democrats took away was the migrant visa. You remember there used to be a time
I do remember.
when we had the
Excuse
migrant
me.
visa. Are you okay?
Yeah, I'm okay. Just water went down.
We say that it went down the old road.
That's exactly what it did. We are live.
Yeah. And we say, se fue por el camino viejo. No, but there was a time we have the migrant business and
Yes.
people was able to come to United States for a certain amount of month and they work, even at the certain farms or doing
Right.
certain jobs
Yes.
and then went back.
Yes, and then they went back.
And then the Democrats got that out. And
Right.
then what happened is we still need these people to
Right,
come
we
and
do.
do the job.
We absolutely do.
So then, of course, they have to come illegally. And then if they come illegally, it's so hard to go back and forth that
It
they
is.
stay here. So that's what have, completely destroyed the whole
I
system,
agree.
the whole immigration system.
I totally
We need
agree.
to re-implement the migrant visas. We need, to make it easier for the people to come here legally because we need people. That's a reality.
And we love and embrace. Hold on, I was writing that down because that's something I wanted to research a little bit more later. But so we really love diversity here in this country. Like this is like one of the backbones of our nation is that everybody here has come from somewhere else.
Yeah.
And we're kind of this melting pot and this conglomeration of different people from different cultures. We embrace everybody. We love everybody. This is like a project, an experiment, and I think it was definitely God ordained. So I agree with our founding fathers and their vision, what I believe God gave them for this country. And so when we say that we want people to come in here legally, okay, legally,
Yes.
right? We're saying go through the proper processes of whatever that is right now. Now, yes, we are running for office and we will work to make sure that process is a lot easier and we, vet because we want
We
the best
definitely
people
need
here.
to have an immigration reform
Yes.
in a way because it became
Not the leftist version.
No. It's just to make it easy,
Right.
shorten the term.
Right.
The background that they do. That's what it needs to be.
It needs to be
Re-implementing the
clear-cut.
migrant visas.
I agree with those.
And it definitely needs to be done. And then you will see how people are going to come here legally
Yes.
and even temporarily with those
Absolutely.
migrant visas. They'll come for a few months and
Yes.
get back.
And that gives people hope in other countries that
Exactly.
are,
Because let me tell you something. Nobody wants to leave their country.
No.
It's like leaving your home.
It is leaving your home. Yeah.
You're leaving your home. Nobody wants to do that. You
Right.
probably want to go work and then come back home.
Nobody wants to have to go and uproot their whole family, go to another country to make a better life because they know it's going to be impossible here.
Exactly.
That's not. Nobody wakes up thinking that either. It's a choice that they are forced.
They're
to make.
forced. But I always said, United States forgot our backyard. I always say, which is Latin America.
Yes.
And if United States would have actually negotiate more partnership with Latin America,
Yes.
none of these people would have ever wanted or needed to come to United States. That's the
think
reality.
so. I think that a lot of our policies, and of course we're going to be closing here, but I think a lot of our policies in America, we need to take another look at some
Yes.
of the ways we've been doing things and maybe change those things to make America great again, because that's very important and vital. When we embraced those coming into Ellis Island and we embrace these individuals that come,
Yeah.
seeking a better life here. But if you come here now, you might be coming into something you left. We've got gang problem, we've got crime, we've got
Well,
money
that's-
problems, we've got all of these. We're heading towards communism.
Well,
and-
actually, let me tell you something. Venezuela is now safe because
See?
they sent all Tren de Agua to the United States. So now Venezuela is safe. We have the problem
we
here in the
have
United
the problems
States.
of Venezuela now.
So
Oh,
it's
my
like I was
goodness.
never able to get back to Venezuela because crime was one of the many issues, and all these, and now
Right.
it's like okay, they brought it here.
Now it's here. What are we going to do now?
Exactly.
We've got Carmen Montiel running in District 18. We've got Alexandria Butler running in District 9. Before we go, tell the people a little bit about how they can reach you, all your information.
Carmen #4congress.com. That's my website. You can find me also by the same name, Carmen #4congress, in Instagram, X, everywhere, all platforms. We need volunteers. We need a lot of people to go knock doors.
Yes.
And of course, we need donations. It doesn't matter if $5, $10. Please donate so we can do this. My campaign is completely grassroots. Grassroots mean I don't own anything to anybody but you.
Right. Amen.
So be part, and when you put those $5 on $10, you are part of this campaign. And I assure you, I'll be working for you because none of those big money people own me.
She is grassroots, self-paid. Look, we grassroots people out here, we need donations. We absolutely do, because the thing is with your money that you invest in our campaigns, we are able to further the message that we're delivering and being able to help more people, being able to reach more people, being able to win the seat so we can win for our districts and
Yes.
change lives for individuals. If you want to donate, that was Carmen, the number 4, Congress.com.
Yes.
Carmen, the number 4, Congress.com. And I am Alexandria Butler, running in District 9. You can contact me, info@alexandriabutlercampaign.org. You can reach my website, alexandriabutlercampaign.org. We're doing pretty good right now. We could always use more donations, prayers, all of us, And,
Yes.
and this is my sister here, and I'm always going to go to bat for her, especially because
We're
her
coming around.
campaign is 56 days away. And
The
so,
election.
the election
The
is
election.
56 days away. So please, 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 Carmen, the number 4, Congress.com. Please vote for my sister. She is the one that you want to vote in District 18, if that be your district. God bless you. That's going to be the end of our show for today.
Yes. Thank you very much
Thank you
for
so
being
much
with
for
us.
watching the Monday Night Mandate. Thank you for being with us.
See you next Monday.
See you next Monday. Same time, same place, 8 p.m. God bless you.
Good night. That was good. Well, I have my son back for, Thanksgiving.
But that's not the
But I'm completely alone when he's gone, and it's horrible. I
Oh,
hated it.
girl.
So I'm thinking.
I'd have to go stay at a friend's house for a little while or something.
Well, actually, you know what I'm gonna do because I need to see people is.
Hey.
After the election, I'm gonna sell my house because I have 5 bedrooms. I don't need that anymore.
Oh,
I'm just
no.
gonna rent an apartment in a high rise because at least if you're in a high rise, you see people coming in and out.
Right.
You don't feel completely like.
Right, and then you're coming home to a big empty